Literally just now, I published a video that provides evidence how you should feel comfortable calling the cops and getting law enforcement involved whenever you are being harassed by gang stalkers. I literally just published, it's right here. It says evidence that gang stalkers feel fear law enforcement. And look, immediately after I published it, this user, chap, counts TXAPP, wrote this. He said, law enforcement are guilty of gang stalking too. All right, that's true. That's what I said in the video. And then he says, if anybody knows law enforcement, it's law enforcement. If anybody knows law enforcement, it's law enforcement. Okay, that's already being weird, right? It's convoluted. And then he says, and they are aware of their own tech. Again, bringing up the tech. So it becomes evident that it must be someone corrupt on the inside doing it to people, using their tech to abuse and harass people. When I read this coming from experience of gang stalking and having seen and read the urban legends about gang stalking and directed energy weapons, the word tech has a lot of nuances. But look, then he says, the more people talk about it and the more about it, the more horrible they all look. And then he says the following. Listen, pay attention to this. This is where it gets wild. He says, I had to call 911 a few weeks ago, and I didn't know where I was. Really, dude? You didn't know where you were, so you had to call 911. So you're telling me that you called them from a landline? Because all cell phones now have browsers, and they have GPS in them. All of them, even the cheapest ones. In fact, it's more expensive to get a cell phone without GPS than one with GPS nowadays. But look, that is where it doesn't make sense. If you had to call 911 and you didn't know where you were, all cell phones have GPS. If he didn't have a cell phone and he had to ask someone for a cell phone, he could ask the person, where am I at? You know what I mean? So he called someone. He got the phone from someone then. But then that person could have told him where they're at. And guess what? If you call 911 and tell them and ask them, I'm lost, they're going to tell you to describe what's around you, any businesses. They're not going to be like, okay, we're going to use our tech to find you. They never do that. They don't do that. That's BS. And look, I didn't know where I was, and they knew my exact location and how to find me, and communicate my location to others out in the field. Well, yeah, that's what they have walkie-talkies, dude. So notice that he's painting the cops as dangerous. You know what I mean? This person is trying to make you fear the cops. And then he puts, imagine a narcissist having this ability at their disposal, knowing how childish and immature law enforcement can be. So this person is a narcissist, and his intention is to hide behind a veil of being innocent. But he's a total narc. You can already tell. He wants you to fear narcissists. Of course, they will gaslight you and make you out as a crazy person, like they all do too. Imagine having to hold a lie like that, though, knowing how deceptive and destructive of a human being that you are. Mm-hmm. It can't be good for someone's soul, not long term. Sooner or later, everything they've ever done will come back to haunt them. So there's the whole thing about coming back to haunt them. That is an urban legend that narcissists have invented to keep people fearful. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way. But notice how it doesn't make sense. And he says, I had to call 911 a few weeks ago and I didn't know where I was at. Where I was. Nowadays, it's hardly possible to be lost unless you were kidnapped. And if he would have been kidnapped, he would have been like, I got kidnapped. So look, you have to understand this. Gang stalkers, narcissists, sociopaths, they talk about sociopathy and narcissism, and they know it. And they flaunt it indirectly. They're like, oh, can you imagine a narcissist having all of this power to make you scared of narcissists, to give them more mystique. But the truth is that narcissists just have these crazy habits, But notice that in the video where I'm telling you that gang stalkers fear law enforcement, this person is trying to make you, the reader, fear more law enforcement. So guess what? This one is total gangusi, total gang stalker. And the crazy thing is that he commented on my channel before and he was completely normal. But you have to pay attention to everyone, dude. Like, especially if you're being gang stalked. If you're being gang stalked, you cannot really trust anyone. You have to be paranoid. You have to read everything that these people impose onto you. So don't take the experiences of people, the testimonies of people as true, because most of the time, if they're false, there's just something that's not gonna make sense. Like here, I had to call 911 a few weeks ago and I didn't know where I was. Like that's someone that just made up a story. It sounds like it. You know what I mean? Like this story has so many holes. Like you had to call 911. Okay, how do you call them? With a cell phone has a GPS. And how is it if you're an adult that you're going to be somewhere where you don't know? Like, unless you're a child. You know what I mean? But a child wouldn't be talking about all of this stuff about corrupt and gang stalking if you're like, I don't know, like 12. Like, you're not going to be talking about that. And if you are talking about gang stalking, you're probably really smart. And this is just not true. Like it's obvious to you, right? Young people don't get lost anymore. That's they just don't unless they get kidnapped. Okay, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying this content. My name is Efrain Rodriguez Guerrero, self-proclaimed gang stalking expert. Please understand that gang stalking is built on deception, and there are a lot of people out there that try to deceive you in crazy ways. So you always have to be aware and you have to understand that there is a lot of people that are gonna lie to you to make themselves feel better, to make themselves indirectly feel more powerful, like this one. This person has a whole system of how to make themselves feel more powerful than they really are. But it's false power. It's built on lies. And the only way that you can not allow them to have this power is by staying aware that a lot of people are going to make up stories to make you believe things. Okay? So please don't believe anything that people tell you unless there is hard evidence, unless it's logical, unless it has no logical flaws if it's not hard evidence. Because the moment that you are living your life blindly believing people's stories, you can unknowingly be giving someone your power. All right? If you are a targeted individual, don't believe this stuff. This person is actively trying to make you feel like you have no power. Gang stalking harassment is meant to make you feel hopeless. This person is trying to take away at your comfort in calling the cops. That is the one thing that you have to understand. The cops are going to be on your side. Please understand that. Because reporting abuse is the only way that you're going to stop these people from abusing you. All right? Please understand this. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Subscribe, okay? Bye.